Welcome! In this week's Forge tutorial, we're going to show you how to make a tessellation pattern. A tessellation is an arrangement of shapes fitted together in a repeated pattern without gaps or overlapping, like these examples. They can be geometric or something a little bit more complicated, like these horses. For our tessellation, we're going to create a bird pattern. And to make this, we only need a few supplies. First, you'll need some cardstock or thin cardboard, like a cereal box. You'll need some marking implements like a pencil, a Sharpie, and maybe some colored pencils. Of course, tape and scissors, a ruler, and then a large piece of paper to put your tessellations on. The first thing we need to do is cut a square from our cardboard or cardstock. And what I've got here is a cutting mat, so I'm just using the nice lines to mark that up. My square here is 4 inches by 4 inches, but you can make your tessellation pattern any size you want. Make that square larger or smaller as you desire. If you don't have a cutting mat, just line up your ruler and mark your square out, like so. Next, we'll simply cut out that square and we're ready to begin making our template. We'll start our bird by taking our square and cutting one corner off the bottom into a triangle piece, as seen here. Then we'll take that triangle piece to the top of the square and this will become the bird's neck essentially. Take some tape and tape that down and make sure that the edges are lined up nicely. Fold your tape over, and if there's a little extra, feel free to cut that tape off. Next, we need to go back to the bottom of our template and cut another triangle, and it's important here that the points of these two triangles we cut meet, like so. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our last triangle and take this up to the top of the template. This will essentially be the tail of the bird, and we're going to tape it down just as we did before, being careful, making sure that everything is lined up as perfectly as possible, so this will actually fit together well when we start drawing out our patterns. We need to make one more cut to complete our template, so we'll cut a small triangular wedge from the tail side of the bird, and this triangular wedge will become the head and beak of the bird. This same cut will also create a semblance of the bird's wing. Now all we have to do is tape down our beak like we have with the previous triangles, and our template will be ready to go. So again, fold that tape over or cut off any extra tape until you have a finalized template. This template was quick and easy to make, and now comes the fun part, but also the more time-consuming part. We're going to lay our template down on a piece of blank white paper and simply outline around it like a stencil. You can see our first bird and then our second bird should fit nicely together, and just keep repeating these patterns over and over again. I like to start in the corner because I find it easier to lay out my tessellations, but really you could start your tessellation anywhere on the paper. Once you're satisfied with the number of bird tessellation patterns you have, you can go back and add their eyes, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. When I'm doing my initial outlining, I like to use a pencil just in case a mistake is made, I can erase it. But you could combine the first step with this step and just use a Sharpie in your initial outlining. Here I'm taking a Sharpie and a ruler, and I'm going to highlight each of the pencil marks now in black Sharpie. This will give the outline more pop and make our final piece a little nicer. I'll also go back and highlight the eyes with the Sharpie as well. Next, I'm going to choose a few colors. I'm going to go with green, blue, and orange here, and then fill in my various tessellations, keeping the same pattern throughout until we have a beautiful work of art. This is a great way to experiment with different color combinations and shading techniques, and even if you don't have a blank piece of white paper, you can use notebook paper and a pencil and do your tessellations in black and white. The beauty of this project is that even with limited supplies, you should be able to make it work. We've gone from a square to a template to a beautiful piece of tessellated art. Thanks for watching, have fun, and keep making.